Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
this whole post-election world kind of feels like we've been strapped to a rocket
Oh, yeah.
and Bitcoin's leading the charge.
It is.
Straight past $90,000.
Crazy, right.
It's wild. No matter which way you voted, I think we can all agree
Definitely.
these feel pretty intense right now.
Intense is a good word for it.
Yeah.
And, it seems like everyone's just kind of looking for a little bit of peace
Exactly.
and normalcy in all this uncertainty.
And that's actually exactly what we're diving into today.
Okay.
A bit of an unexpected method, I'd say,
Interesting.
for dealing with this post-election stress, crystals.
Okay.
We found this article.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Crystals for Post-Election Stress, a coping guide for November 2024.
Wow.
It was published just a few days ago, on November 12th,
Okay.
by Ayana Wellness. And they're a company that specializes in healing crystals and jewelry.
Okay, cool.
We're approaching this, of course, with a totally open mind,
Yeah.
not endorsing any political stance or the effectiveness of crystals themselves,
Got it.
but really just kind of exploring this trend
I like it.
and what it might reveal about our
Yeah.
our collective anxieties right now.
Exactly. It's a fascinating look at how people try to seek solace and meaning in times of upheaval.
Okay, so the article kicks off with clear quartz,
Okay.
which they've nicknamed the Master of Clarity.
Master of clarity.
And I gotta say,
Yeah.
the timing on that couldn't be more perfect,
Right.
with the market doing its best impression of a rodeo bull.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are probably craving at least a little bit of
Actually,
financial clarity, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so interesting how they position this clear quartz as like
Right.
a chief friendship officer.
Yeah.
So suggesting that it can help with both financial and emotional well-being.
That's what I thought was really interesting, too.
Yeah.
Like having your crystal CFO
Yeah.
who also doubles as your therapist.
All right.
But it makes you wonder, is that part of the appeal?
What do you mean?
Well, like in a world that feels,
Mm.
increasingly out of control,
Yeah.
these crystals offer like a tangible sense of grounding.
Yeah.
It's something you can hold, connect with, and maybe even
Yeah.
project your anxieties onto, right?
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
Humans have always sought comfort in things that are tangible,
Oh, you're dead.
especially during times of uncertainty.
Of course.
And crystals, with their beauty and I guess their perceived energy,
Yeah.
they offer a sense of stability and permanence that I think can feel really reassuring for people right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the next crystal in their guide is rose quartz.
I love rose quartz.
It's a good one.
It's so pretty.
And it's often associated with
Love
compassion.
emotional healing.
Yeah, emotional healing.
Mm-hmm.
And the article suggests that it can be helpful for navigating those,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a little awkward post-election
Yeah.
social situations, like,
Fun.
family gatherings
Mm-hmm.
where things can get,
Yeah.
heated.
It's almost as if they're presenting this rose quartz as a shield against those dreaded.
Totally.
So what do you think about the election conversation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while that's definitely, a valid use case,
Yeah.
I think I'm more interested in
Yeah.
why people might gravitate towards, objects that symbolize peace
Right.
during times of conflict.
Okay.
Seems like kind of a natural
Mm-hmm.
human impulse, wouldn't you say?
It definitely speaks to our very deep-seated
Yeah.
desire for harmony
Mhm.
and connection. When external events create division, we kind of naturally seek ways to restore balance,
I see.
both within ourselves and in our relationships. And so I think these objects, like rose quartz, can really serve as a visual reminder
Okay.
of that aspiration for peace. It's a
Yeah.
tangible symbol to hold on to
Right.
when things feel really fractured.
It's like a little beacon of hope
Yeah.
tucked away in your pocket,
Totally.
reminding you that connection's still possible,
Absolutely.
even when opinions differ.
Right, precisely. And it also
Yeah.
taps into the power of
Mhm.
ritual and symbolism.
I like that.
Yeah, like having an object
Mm-hmm.
that represents peace can be such a powerful way to ground yourself
Right.
and maintain a sense of calm in those challenging situations.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the next crystal that they highlight is amethyst,
Oh, nice.
which they've playfully dubbed the office diplomat.
The office diplomat.
Yes, I can just imagine an amethyst perched on someone's desk,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
right next to like a world's okayest employee mug.
Totally.
Just trying to silently mediate all those workplace tensions.
I love that image.
Yeah.
But I think it does raise a really valid point.
Okay, what's that?
Could this be about people seeking a sense of control or agency in environments where they feel powerless?
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
Especially now with so many people back in offices.
Right.
Or navigating those kind of hybrid situations where the boundaries between work and personal life feel increasingly blurred.
It's true. And I think maybe the amethyst, whether consciously or not, becomes a symbol of that desired control.
Okay.
It's a small way to create a sense of order and peace within what can feel like a really chaotic environment.
That's fascinating. It's like they're giving us all these little tiny pieces of hope and stability.
And sometimes that's all we really need, right?
Sometimes that's all we need.
Yeah, to kind of navigate the complexities of life.
Especially during, turbulent times like these.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of chaotic environments, let's venture into the Wild West of social media.
Oh, yeah.
That's where blue lace agate comes in.
Okay.
Which the article has nicknamed the social media whisperer.
Interesting.
And honestly, I think it's safe to say that our social media feeds right now are probably more dramatic than a reality TV show finale.
I think you're right.
It's crazy.
It seems like everyone has an opinion these days.
Yeah.
And those comment sections,
oh my God,
you really need like a strong constitution
to
navigate those sometimes.
So like suddenly everyone's a political pundit or something. And those comment wars.
Oh, they can be brutal.
They can be brutal, but the article suggests that blue lace agate can encourage mindful scrolling and help us resist the urge to engage in those heated online debates.
It's a nice thought.
It is?
But I do wonder if just relying on a crystal to solve that problem might be...
oversimplifying things a little.
Yeah, oversimplifying, I guess, the very real and complex issue of social media addiction.
It's not a magic solution, I guess.
Right.
But maybe it's more about, like, the intention, right?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Like, just having that physical reminder to take a step back and breathe before you kind of dive head first into those digital battlegrounds.
It's about creating that pause, that moment of reflection before you engage in any potentially stressful interactions online.
That's a good point.
And, blue lace agate, that calming blue, it's often associated with clear communication and tranquility.
Makes sense.
So maybe that's why it's being linked to this whole idea of navigating the digital world with a little more peace and mindfulness.
It's like having a little reminder in your pocket
to
choose your battles wisely.
I like that.
Both online and offline.
That's good.
And speaking of choosing battles, the next crystal in the article is black tourmaline.
Black tourmaline.
Which they've cleverly nicknamed the digital bouncer.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah,
it perfectly captures that feeling of information overload and the need for boundaries in this, hyper-connected world we live in.
It speaks to this very real and growing need for what's often called digital detox.
It's digital detox.
We're constantly bombarded with information and notifications and just stimuli from our devices. I mean, it's no wonder so many people are feeling overwhelmed and just looking for ways to unplug and reclaim their mental peace.
Our phones are constantly buzzing. Our smart devices are like eavesdropping on our every conversation. And even our fitness trackers are like judging our snack choices.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
It's enough to make anyone crave a digital break.
It is.
And I think black tourmaline, with its grounding and protective properties, seems to be resonating with that desire to shield ourselves from digital overload. It's like carrying a little reminder to be mindful of our digital consumption and to prioritize our own mental well-being.
It's like you're creating a sacred space in your mind.
I love that.
Where those digital distractions can't penetrate.
Exactly. And it's interesting to think about the historical context here,
Right.
because black tourmaline's actually been used for centuries in all these different cultures for protection and grounding.
Interesting.
So I guess it makes sense that in our digital age, it's now being associated with protecting ourselves from the overwhelm of all this digital information.
It's so fascinating.
It is.
How these ancient traditions and beliefs are being adapted to our very modern challenges.
It's really interesting.
Okay. And last but not least, we have selenite.
I like selenite.
Which they call the Zen Zone creator.
Okay.
I really like this one.
Yeah.
Because it speaks to the desire for calm and restful sleep. Especially in contrast to, I don't know, all the doom scrolling that we're probably all guilty of.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's such a...
It's interesting, this allure of relaxation and tranquility in a world that often feels, anything but calm.
Yeah, that's true. And, it's funny because sometimes even our attempts to relax, like using those meditation apps, they can become stressful.
Oh, totally.
It's like
it is.
Achieve enlightenment in 5 minutes or less.
Right.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
But what is it about crystals specifically that makes people associate them with relaxation and mindfulness?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Is it their natural beauty?
Okay.
Their, I don't know, perceived energy? Or is it something else entirely?
Yeah. What do you think it is?
That's a great question. Have you ever used crystals before, like stress relief or anything?
I haven't personally used them in that way, but I can definitely see the appeal. I mean, on a purely aesthetic level, crystals are so often associated with nature, which of course has inherent calming properties.
It does.
And then there's also that historical and cultural significance. Crystals have often been linked to spiritual practices and rituals that are all about promoting peace and balance.
Right. And even if someone doesn't necessarily, believe in the metaphysical properties of crystals, there's something to be said for, like the placebo effect.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like if believing in the power of selenite actually helps you sleep better, isn't that a positive thing?
It is. It's all about the mind-body connection.
Totally. The mind-body connection is so powerful.
Yeah.
And if a crystal serves as a tool to help you relax and improve your well-being, then I think it's serving a really valuable purpose.
I agree.
It's all about finding what works for you, whether it's a crystal, a warm bath, or even just a walk in nature.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into these post-election crystal trends, I'm curious to hear your final thoughts on this.
Okay.
If these crystals could talk,
okay,
what do you think they would say about the current state of the world?
That's a really interesting question.
It's like they're offering this like silent commentary on our,
totally
anxieties and desires as a society.
I think they would speak of a real yearning
Okay.
for balance, for connection, for a sense of peace that maybe feels a little elusive right now.
Yeah, in these uncertain times, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes you wonder, like, what does it say about us?
Okay.
That we, we seek solace and meaning in these objects.
Interesting.
Whether it's crystals or, religious symbols or even just like,
or even just a favorite blanket.
I think it speaks to our very human need for something to ground us, something to believe in, something to connect with.
Yeah.
That goes beyond just the material world.
Beyond the material, yeah.
Especially when the world feels chaotic. We just naturally seek those anchors, those reminders that there's still beauty in order to be found.
And maybe it's not about the objects themselves. Maybe it's more about what they represent.
What do you mean?
Like the hope, the stability, the connection that we long for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding those sources.
Of comfort and meaning, whatever they might look like.
Right.
And allowing them to guide us through those tough times.
So well said.
Thanks.
So to our listeners, as you navigate, this post-election world, maybe take a moment to consider, what are your crystals?
I like it.
What are the things, the beliefs, the rituals that bring you that sense of peace and grounding?
And remember, it's okay to seek comfort and support
Right.
wherever you can find it.
Yeah.
Whether that's from your loved ones, a therapist, spiritual practice,
right,
or even, a collection of sparkly stones.
That's a great way to put it. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive
Of course.
into the world of post-election crystals.
It was a fascinating exploration.
It was. And to all our listeners, until next time.
Yeah.
Stay curious, stay open-minded, and maybe keep a crystal or two nearby, just in case you need a little extra zen in your life.